In the distant future, humanity had finally reached the stars. For centuries, people dreamed of exploring the vastness of space, and now, that dream was a reality. Earth's scientists and engineers worked tirelessly to build ships capable of traveling across galaxies. Diplomats were sent to meet with other civilizations, hoping to join the Galactic Council, a powerful alliance of advanced species that governed interstellar affairs. The Council made decisions about trade, territory, and peace among the stars. Being part of it meant safety, resources, and respect. But for Earth, things didn't go as planned. Jack Monroe stood nervously in a grand chamber on the Council's home planet. Around him, alien beings of all shapes and sizes filled the room. Some had shimmering scales, others had multiple eyes, and a few floated above the ground without legs. Jack felt out of place. He wore a simple suit, his tie slightly crooked from hours of waiting. Beside him stood Emily Dawson, her hands clasped tightly together. She tried to appear calm, but her knuckles were white from gripping them so hard. They were Earth's representatives, chosen to plead their case before the Council. The Council members sat in a semicircle, their expressions unreadable. A tall, insect-like creature with glowing antennae spoke first. Its voice echoed through the chamber, cold and mechanical. Earth has requested membership in our alliance. Let us hear their argument. Jack stepped forward, clearing his throat. His heart pounded, but he forced himself to speak clearly. "We come in peace, seeking partnership," he began. "Our planet is young, but we have shown resilience and innovation. We've built ships, explored new worlds, and are eager to contribute to the galaxy's progress." He paused, glancing at Emily for support. She nodded slightly, encouraging him to continue. Emily then took a step forward, her voice steady despite her nerves. "Humanity is not perfect, but no civilization is. We have learned from our mistakes and are ready to grow alongside you. Excluding us will only isolate us further. Give us a chance to prove ourselves." The chamber fell silent. The Council members exchanged glances, their faces, or what passed for faces, impassive. Finally, a being resembling a floating jellyfish spoke. Its words dripped with disdain. "Your kind is too volatile. Wars, pollution, greed. Your history speaks for itself. You are not ready." Jack clenched his fists, frustration bubbling inside him. "With respect, every great civilization has faced challenges. Yours did too. Denying us this opportunity will only push us away." But the Council was unmoved. After a brief discussion, the leader announced their decision. "Earth's request is denied. You may leave now." As they turned to walk away, Emily whispered to Jack, her voice trembling with anger and determination. "If they won't accept us, we'll show them what we're capable of. We don't need their approval to survive or thrive." Back on Earth, news of the rejection spread quickly. People were outraged. Protests erupted in cities around the globe, with citizens demanding action. World leaders gathered in secret meetings, debating their next move. President Laura Hayes addressed the nation, her tone resolute. "They think we're weak. They think we're insignificant. But they're wrong. If the Council refuses to include us, we'll create something greater, our own empire." And so, humanity began preparing for a new chapter. Rejection had stung, but it also ignited a fire within them. Earth would no longer beg for acceptance. Instead, they would rise on their own terms, carving out a place among the stars whether the Council liked it or not. After the rejection from the Galactic Council, Earth's leaders knew they couldn't afford to sit back and wait. The Council had dismissed humanity as too young, too flawed, and too unimportant to join their ranks. But instead of letting that decision crush them, it fueled a sense of urgency. Something had to change. Humanity needed a plan, and it needed one fast. President Laura Hayes called an emergency meeting in a secure underground bunker. Around the table sat some of the brightest minds on the planet: scientists, engineers, military strategists, and diplomats. Among them was Ryan Carter, a man known for his sharp mind and bold ideas. Ryan wasn't like most politicians. He didn't waste time with fancy speeches or empty promises. He got things done, even if his methods were unconventional. When President Hayes asked for solutions, Ryan didn't hesitate. "We've been trying to play by their rules," Ryan said, leaning forward. His voice was calm but firm. "But they don't want us at the table." "Fine. Let's build our own table. If the council won't accept us, we'll create something stronger, an empire of our own." The room fell silent. Some people exchanged skeptical looks, while others nodded in agreement. It was a risky idea, but it was also inspiring. For years, humanity had relied on the hope of joining the council. Now they had no choice but to stand on their own. President Hayes studied Ryan carefully before speaking. "If we're going to do this, we need someone to lead the effort, someone who can think outside the box and make tough decisions. Ryan, I'm putting you in charge." Ryan accepted without hesitation. He knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy, but he also knew it was necessary. Humanity couldn't survive forever as outsiders in a galaxy dominated by older, more powerful civilizations. They needed strength, unity, and resources, and they needed them quickly. The project was named Ascension. Its goal was simple yet ambitious: turn Earth into a self-sufficient powerhouse capable of defending itself and expanding into the stars. Factories across the globe shifted their focus to building starships, weapons, and advanced technology. Scientists worked around the clock to develop faster-than-light engines and energy shields. Every resource was poured into making Earth ready for what lay ahead. One of the key figures in Project Ascension was Sarah Bennett, a young astrophysicist with a knack for solving impossible problems. Her lab became the heart of innovation, where she experimented with alien artifacts recovered from crashed ships. These relics held secrets far beyond human understanding, and Sarah was determined to unlock them. With her team, she designed engines that could travel farther and faster than anything the Council used. It was groundbreaking work, but it came with immense pressure. Late nights and endless calculations left her exhausted, but she refused to give up. As the months passed, Earth began to transform. New fleets of starships took shape in orbiting shipyards. Colonies sprang up on nearby planets and moons, each one a testament to humanity's determination. People rallied behind the cause, united by a shared vision of independence. Flags bearing the symbol of Earth, a blue circle surrounded by stars, were raised everywhere, from government buildings to private homes. But not everyone supported the idea. Critics argued that building an empire would provoke the Council into attacking. Others worried about the cost, both financial and human. Tensions rose as debates raged in news outlets and online forums. Still, the majority stood firmly behind Ryan and his mission. They believed that Earth's survival depended on taking control of its destiny. One evening, Ryan stood on a balcony overlooking a bustling spaceport. Ships launched into the sky, their engines lighting up the night. Behind him, Sarah approached, holding a tablet filled with data. She hesitated before speaking. "Do you ever wonder if we're doing the right thing?" she asked softly. Ryan turned to face her, his expression thoughtful. "Every day," he admitted. "But the Council made their choice when they rejected us. Now it's our turn to choose. We can either stay weak and dependent, or we can rise. I know which path I'd rather take." Sarah nodded slowly, her doubts easing just a little. Together, they looked out at the stars, knowing that humanity's future lay among them. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Earth was ready to face them head-on. The construction of Earth's Starfleet became the top priority for Project Ascension. Massive shipyards were built in orbit, their skeletal frames glowing under the light of the sun. Workers from every corner of the globe came together, united by a shared purpose. Engineers, welders, and technicians worked tirelessly, their hands shaping metal and circuits into machines that would carry humanity into the unknown. It was a monumental task, but no one complained. Everyone understood what was at stake. Ryan Carter oversaw the operation with relentless energy. He spent most of his days traveling between facilities, inspecting progress, and solving problems. His sharp eyes missed nothing, and his quick thinking kept the project moving forward. Despite the pressure, Ryan never lost sight of the bigger picture. Every ship, every weapon, every piece of technology brought Earth one step closer to independence. But even he knew that building an empire wouldn't be enough. Humanity needed something more, something that would set them apart from the Council. Sarah Bennett played a crucial role in achieving that edge. Her lab buzzed with activity as she and her team worked on reverse engineering alien artifacts. These objects, salvaged from crashed ships or discovered on distant moons, held secrets far beyond human understanding. Sarah's breakthrough came when she unlocked the principles behind faster-than-light travel. Using this knowledge, she designed engines capable of outpacing anything the Council possessed. The new engines weren't just faster, they were more efficient, allowing ships to travel farther without refueling. It was a game-changer, and Ryan wasted no time putting it into production. The first completed starship, named Hope's Dawn *, rolled out of the shipyard amid cheers and applause. Its sleek design and advanced weaponry made it a symbol of Earth's determination. Cameras captured the moment as Ryan stood beside the ship, addressing a crowd of workers and dignitaries. "This is just the beginning," he said, his voice steady and confident. "Every ship we build brings us closer to freedom. We won't rely on anyone else to protect us. From now on, we protect ourselves." But not everyone was celebrating. News of Earth's rapid advancements spread quickly, reaching the ears of the Galactic Council. Some alien factions viewed these efforts with suspicion, believing that humanity's growing strength could lead to conflict. Whispers of war began to circulate, and tensions rose. Ryan knew the Council might see their actions as a threat, but he refused to slow down. If Earth wanted to survive, it had to be ready for anything. Back in her lab, Sarah wrestled with doubts. She admired Ryan's vision, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they were rushing into danger. Late one night, as she reviewed data on her tablet, she found herself staring at a map of nearby star systems. Several of them belonged to Council-aligned colonies. What if those colonies saw Earth's fleet as a hostile force? What if they attacked first? Sarah sighed, rubbing her temples. The weight of responsibility pressed heavily on her shoulders. The next morning, she decided to voice her concerns to Ryan. They met in a quiet conference room aboard Hope's Dawn *. Sarah laid out her fears, pointing to potential risks. "We're building weapons and ships, but have we thought about diplomacy?" she asked. "If we push too hard, too fast, we might provoke a war we're not ready for." Ryan listened carefully, his expression thoughtful. When she finished, he nodded. "You're right to worry," he admitted. "But remember why we're doing this. The Council rejected us because they saw us as weak. If we want respect, we need to show strength. That doesn't mean we abandon diplomacy entirely. It means we prepare for every possibility." Sarah left the meeting feeling slightly reassured. She still had reservations, but she trusted Ryan's judgment. As she returned to her lab, she reminded herself of the bigger goal: creating a future where humanity could stand tall among the stars. Meanwhile, the fleet continued to grow. Ships like Hope's Dawn * became the backbone of Earth's new power. Factories churned out weapons and supplies, while training programs prepared pilots and soldiers for whatever lay ahead. Humanity was no longer waiting for approval. They were taking control of their destiny, one starship at a time. The first major test of Earth's new fleet came sooner than anyone expected. A small scouting mission, led by Captain Lucas Gray, was sent to explore a nearby star system. The goal was simple: gather information about the surrounding area and look for resources that could help sustain Earth's growing empire. But as the ships approached a distant moon, they discovered something unexpected: a colony belonging to a species aligned with the Galactic Council. At first, the colonists seemed friendly. They had no idea Earth had been excluded from the Council, so they assumed the approaching ships were allies. When Captain Gray's crew landed, the colonists greeted them warmly, offering food and supplies. For a brief moment, it felt like diplomacy might actually work. Lucas, a calm and thoughtful man in his late 30s, tried to negotiate trade agreements. He believed that peaceful relationships could pave the way for Earth's expansion without bloodshed. But things quickly took a turn. One of the colonists, curious about Earth's technology, asked to inspect their ships. When Lucas politely refused, the mood shifted. The colonists grew suspicious, whispering among themselves in their native language. Before long, they contacted their leaders for guidance. Reinforcements arrived within hours, larger ships equipped with weapons far beyond what Earth's fleet carried at the time. Tensions escalated when one of the alien ships fired a warning shot near Hope's Dawn, the lead vessel of the scouting mission. Lucas immediately ordered his crew to prepare for defense. "We didn't come here to fight," he said through gritted teeth, "but we won't back down either." What followed was a chaotic skirmish. The aliens surrounded the human ships, attempting to force them into retreat. But Lucas and his crew were resourceful. Using quick maneuvers and clever tactics learned from Earth's history of warfare, they managed to outmaneuver the larger, slower alien vessels. Sarah Bennett's faster-than-light engines gave them an edge, allowing them to dodge attacks and strike back strategically. The battle lasted only a few hours, but it felt like an eternity. By the time the aliens withdrew, both sides had suffered damage. No lives were lost on either side. But the message was clear. Earth wasn't going to be pushed around anymore. As the human ships regrouped and prepared to leave the system, Lucas addressed his crew over the intercom. "Today proved something important," he said. "We may not have the most advanced weapons or the biggest fleet, but we have heart, and that makes us dangerous." Back on Earth, news of the skirmish sparked mixed reactions. Some celebrated the victory as proof of humanity's growing strength. Others worried that it would provoke retaliation from the Council. President Laura Hayes called an emergency meeting with Ryan Carter and his team to discuss the fallout. The room buzzed with tension as reports poured in about the encounter. Ryan listened carefully before speaking. "This changes things," he admitted. "The Council will see this as aggression, even though we acted in self-defense. We need to be ready for anything." Sarah, who had been monitoring communications during the skirmish, voiced her concerns. "We can't afford to keep escalating conflicts like this. Every battle brings us closer to all-out war. We need a better plan for dealing with other species." Ryan nodded, acknowledging her point. "You're right, but we also can't show weakness. From now on, every mission needs a balance of strength and diplomacy. If they respect us, maybe we can avoid unnecessary fights." Despite the uncertainty, the skirmish marked a turning point for Earth. It proved that humanity could hold its own against more advanced civilizations. Word of the victory spread quickly, boosting morale across the planet. People cheered in the streets, waving flags and chanting slogans of unity. For the first time in years, Earth felt like it had a real chance at carving out its place in the galaxy. As Lucas and his crew returned home, they were hailed as heroes. Their actions showed that Earth's new empire wasn't just a dream. It was becoming a reality. But deep down, everyone knew the road ahead wouldn't be easy. The Council wouldn't ignore such bold moves forever. War loomed on the horizon, and humanity had to decide how far it was willing to go to secure its future. The skirmish in the distant star system sent shockwaves through Earth's leadership. While many celebrated the victory as a sign of humanity's growing strength, others saw it as a dangerous step toward conflict. Ryan Carter knew the Council wouldn't ignore such an act for long. Every move Earth made was being watched, judged, and analyzed. It was time to send a clear message, not just to the Council, but to the entire galaxy. President Laura Hayes called another meeting with her advisors. The room was tense as reports about the battle were reviewed. Some argued that Earth should apologize and try to smooth things over with the Council. Others believed the opposite, that now was the moment to assert dominance and show the galaxy what humanity was truly capable of. Ryan listened quietly, his mind racing. When the discussion began to circle back on itself, he finally spoke. "We've already proven we can fight. Ryan said, his voice steady. "But fighting isn't enough. We need to declare who we are and what we stand for. If the council won't accept us, then we'll show them we don't need their approval." His words sparked a flurry of ideas. After hours of debate, the decision was made. Earth would officially announce its independence. The declaration would be broadcast across the galaxy, accompanied by evidence of Earth's progress, footage of its growing fleet, thriving colonies, and advanced technology. It wasn't just a statement of defiance. It was a challenge to the Council. Humanity was no longer asking for permission. It was demanding respect. Ryan proposed renaming Earth's territory the Sol Imperium. The name carried weight. It symbolized unity, strength, and ambition. President Hayes loved the idea, and within days, the rebranding began. Flags bearing Earth's old emblem were replaced with new ones featuring a golden sun surrounded by orbiting planets. The message was simple. Humanity's empire started at home, but extended far beyond. The announcement came on a day that would later be remembered as Independence Day. Billions of people tuned in to watch as President Hayes delivered the speech of her life. Standing in front of a backdrop of stars, she addressed not only Earth but the entire galaxy. Her voice was calm yet powerful. "To the Galactic Council and all who doubted us," she began, "know this. Earth is no longer waiting for your approval. You rejected us because you saw us as weak, but we have proven you wrong. From this day forward, we are the Sol Imperium, a sovereign power united under one flag. We seek peace with those who respect us, but we will defend ourselves against any threat. This is our destiny, and nothing will stop us from achieving it." The speech was met with thunderous applause on Earth. Cities erupted in celebration as fireworks lit up the night sky. People waved the new flags and chanted slogans like, "For the Imperium," and "Earth stands alone." For the first time in years, humanity felt truly united. But the reaction from the rest of the galaxy was mixed. Some alien factions dismissed the declaration as arrogant posturing. Others, however, took notice. Smaller species who had suffered under the Council's rule began reaching out to Earth, seeking alliances. They saw the Sol Imperium as a potential rival to the Council's dominance, and maybe even a protector. Among these interested parties was Kale, a disgraced ambassador from a Council-aligned species. He contacted Ryan secretly, offering valuable intelligence about the Council's weaknesses in exchange for asylum. Ryan hesitated at first, unsure if Kale could be trusted, but Sarah convinced him to take the risk. "We need every advantage we can get," she said. "If he's lying, we'll deal with him. But if he's telling the truth..." Kale's information turned out to be genuine. He revealed details about the Council's supply lines, communication networks, and internal divisions. With this knowledge, Earth gained a clearer picture of how to navigate the dangerous political landscape of the galaxy. It was a turning point, but Ryan knew better than to let his guard down. Trusting Kale came with risks, and not everyone on the team shared his confidence. As the dust settled, Earth stood taller than ever before. The Sol Imperium was no longer just an idea. It was a reality. And while war still loomed on the horizon, humanity had taken its first steps toward true independence. Whatever happened next, one thing was certain. Earth would never again beg for a seat at someone else's table. Kel's arrival marked a turning point for the Sol Imperium. The disgraced ambassador brought with him not just secrets, but also a sense of unease. His species, the Varith, were known for their cunning and ruthlessness, a reputation that made many on Earth wary. Ryan Carter decided to meet Kale personally, wanting to gauge the alien's intentions before trusting him completely. The meeting took place in a secure room aboard Hope's Dawn, where Kale sat calmly, his scaled skin shimmering under the artificial lights. "I've given you valuable information," Kale said, his voice smooth but edged with caution. "The Council is fractured. Their supply lines are stretched thin, and their colonies are vulnerable. Use this knowledge wisely." Ryan studied him carefully. "Why help us? You're risking your life by defecting." Cal's lips curled into a faint smile. Because the council betrayed me first. My people value loyalty above all else, yet they cast me aside when I spoke against their arrogance. Your cause, your fight for independence, it resonates with me. Perhaps together, we can bring them down." Though Ryan nodded, he couldn't shake the feeling that Cal had his own agenda. Still, the intelligence Cal provided was too valuable to ignore. With it, Earth could plan strategic strikes against the Council's weak points, weakening their grip on the galaxy without engaging in open war. Sarah Bennett spent long hours analyzing Cal's data, cross-referencing it with Earth's maps of Council-controlled space. She worked tirelessly, her mind racing with possibilities. But not everyone trusted Cal. Sarah herself harbored doubts, though she kept them to herself at first. Late one night, as she reviewed Cal's files in her lab, she noticed something odd. A pattern in the locations he had flagged as vulnerable. They seemed too convenient, almost as if they were designed to lure Earth into traps. Her stomach tightened as she realized the implications. What if Cal wasn't defecting out of loyalty to Earth? What if he was using them to settle a personal score? The next morning, Sarah confronted Ryan about her suspicions. "We need to be careful," she said, spreading out star charts on the table between them. "These targets Cal gave us, they're risky. If we attack here or here, we'll stretch our forces thin. And look at this one. It's surrounded by Council strongholds. It's practically begging for an ambush." Ryan frowned, studying the charts. "You think he's setting us up?" "I'm not saying he is," Sarah replied cautiously, "but we can't afford to assume he isn't. Trust is important, but so is caution." Ryan agreed to proceed carefully, ordering reconnaissance missions to verify Cal's claims before committing any ships. Meanwhile, tensions within the team grew. Some believed Cal was their best chance at gaining an advantage, while others saw him as a potential threat. Arguments erupted during meetings, with voices rising and tempers flaring. The pressure was mounting, and the weight of leadership pressed heavily on Ryan's shoulders. Despite the uncertainty, Cal proved useful in other ways. He shared insights into the Council's politics, revealing rivalries and power struggles among its members. This information allowed Earth to exploit divisions, forming tentative alliances with smaller species who resented the Council's control. One such group, the Lumari, offered resources and safe passage through their territory in exchange for protection from Council raids. It was a small victory, but an important one. As weeks passed, Earth's position in the galaxy began to shift. The Sol Imperium was no longer seen as a fledgling empire struggling to survive. It was becoming a force to be reckoned with, a beacon of hope for those oppressed by the Council's tyranny. But beneath the surface, cracks were beginning to show. Trust, once a cornerstone of humanity's unity, was now fragile. Every decision carried risks. Every alliance came with strings attached, and every victory felt fleeting. One evening, as Ryan stood on the observation deck of Hope's Dawn *, he found himself staring at the stars. Cal joined him silently, standing a few feet away. For a moment, neither spoke. Then Ryan broke the silence. "Do you ever wonder if we're doing the right thing?" he asked, his tone softer than usual. Cal tilted his head, considering the question. "Right and wrong are human concepts," he said finally. "All I know is survival. Sometimes, you have to burn bridges to build new paths." Ryan didn't respond immediately. He knew Cal's words held truth, but they also carried a warning. Survival came at a cost, and the road ahead would demand sacrifices. As the two men gazed at the endless expanse of space, the future remained uncertain. But one thing was clear. The Sol Imperium had no choice but to keep moving forward. The Council's patience finally ran out. After months of watching Earth's growing strength and defiance, they decided to act. Their plan was bold and brutal. A direct assault on Earth itself. The attack came without warning, catching humanity off guard. Massive Council warships descended upon the planet, their weapons glowing with destructive energy. Cities shook as orbital bombardments rained fire from the sky. Panic spread across continents as people scrambled for shelter. Ryan Carter sprang into action, coordinating Earth's defense from the command center aboard Hope's Dawn. He knew this battle would decide the fate of the Sol Imperium. If Earth fell, everything they had built would crumble. But if they held their ground, they could prove once and for all that humanity wasn't to be underestimated. "We fight for our home," he told his team, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. "No matter what happens, we don't give up." Captain Lucas Gray led the counterattack in orbit. Outnumbered and outgunned, his fleet faced overwhelming odds. The Council ships were larger, more advanced, and far more numerous than anything Earth had encountered before. But Lucas refused to let fear paralyze him. Drawing on lessons from history's greatest battles, he ordered his ships to break formation and strike at the enemy's weak points. Speed and surprise became their greatest weapons. Sarah Bennett played a crucial role in the battle, using Cal's intelligence to guide the fleet's movements. From her station, she relayed coordinates and identified vulnerabilities in the Council's defenses. Her quick thinking saved countless lives, allowing Earth's smaller ships to slip past the enemy's lines and strike where it hurt most. Still, doubt lingered in her mind. Was this the trap Cal had been setting all along? She pushed the thought aside, focusing on the task at hand. The turning point came when Cal made a shocking decision. Realizing the gravity of the situation, he volunteered to infiltrate the Council's flagship, a colossal vessel known as the Ecliptor. Armed with stolen codes and his intimate knowledge of Council technology, he managed to disable key systems, leaving the ship vulnerable. As explosions rocked the Ecliptor, Cal transmitted one final message to Ryan. "For better or worse, your fate is now my own," he said, his voice calm but tinged with sadness. Moments later, the transmission cut off. Cal's sacrifice turned the tide of the battle, giving Earth's forces the opening they needed. With the Council's flagship crippled, Lucas launched a daring assault on the remaining ships. Using Sarah's data, he directed his pilots to target fuel reserves and communication arrays, crippling the enemy fleet piece by piece. The Council forces, caught off guard by the ferocity of Earth's resistance, began to retreat. By the time the dust settled, Earth's skies were clear once again. But the victory came at a heavy cost. Cities lay in ruins, and thousands of lives had been lost. In orbit, many brave pilots and crew members gave their lives to protect the planet. Among them was Cal, whose ultimate loyalty remained a mystery even in death. Ryan stood silently in the command center, staring at the screens showing the devastation below. He felt a mix of pride and sorrow. Pride in humanity's resilience, and sorrow for the sacrifices made. As news of the victory spread, people emerged from shelters, their faces streaked with tears, but filled with determination. Flags bearing the emblem of the Sol Imperium fluttered in the wind, symbols of unity forged through fire. President Laura Hayes addressed the world, her voice strong despite the pain. "Today, we proved that Earth will not bow to tyranny. We fought for our freedom, and we will continue to fight for it. This is our home, and no one will take it from us." The Council's attack had failed, but Ryan knew it wouldn't be their last move. Humanity had earned respect, but the galaxy was still a dangerous place. As he looked out at the stars, he reminded himself of the road ahead. The Sol Imperium had survived its greatest test yet, but the journey was far from over. The victory against the Council's attack brought a wave of celebration across Earth, but it also exposed cracks within the Sol Imperium. Not everyone agreed on what the future should look like. Some leaders argued that humanity should focus on rebuilding and strengthening its defenses, while others pushed for aggressive expansion into Council-controlled space. Debates grew heated in the halls of power, and tensions simmered beneath the surface. Ryan Carter found himself at the center of these divisions. As the architect of Project Ascension, he was respected by many, but not everyone trusted his decisions. Critics accused him of being too reckless, claiming that his bold strategies risked provoking another war. Supporters, on the other hand, praised his vision and determination, believing that caution would only leave Earth vulnerable. The pressure weighed heavily on Ryan, who struggled to balance competing interests while keeping the Empire united. Amidst the chaos, Sarah Bennett made a shocking discovery. While reviewing security footage from the orbital battle, she noticed something unusual. Encrypted messages sent from within Earth's command structure to unknown recipients. At first, she thought it might be a glitch or an error, but further investigation revealed the truth. Someone inside the Sol Imperium had been leaking information to the Council. Sabotage wasn't just a possibility, it was a reality. Sarah hesitated before bringing the evidence to Ryan. She knew how explosive the revelation would be, and she feared the consequences. But when she finally showed him the data, his reaction was calm yet decisive. "We need to find out who's behind this," he said, his jaw tightening. "If we have traitors in our ranks, they'll destroy everything we've built." The investigation was swift and discreet. Ryan worked closely with trusted officers to trace the source of the leaks. It didn't take long to uncover the culprit, Sarah herself. The revelation hit Ryan like a punch to the gut. He stared at her in disbelief as the evidence mounted. Her access codes, her communication logs, even her movements during critical moments all pointed to her involvement. "I didn't do it to hurt us," Sarah pleaded when confronted. Her voice trembled, tears streaming down her face. "I wanted to prevent another war. I thought if I gave them enough information, they'd back off. I never meant for anyone to get hurt." Ryan's heart ached, but he couldn't let emotion cloud his judgment. Betrayal was betrayal, no matter the motive. "You put billions of lives at risk," he said, his tone cold and firm. "Your actions could have cost us everything." Sarah's arrest sent shockwaves through the Sol Imperium. Protests erupted in cities around the world, with some calling for leniency and others demanding justice. The incident deepened existing divides, forcing Ryan to make difficult choices about loyalty and accountability. He ordered heightened security measures and stricter oversight, knowing that trust once broken was hard to rebuild. Despite the turmoil, Ryan refused to let despair take hold. Humanity had faced worse challenges and emerged stronger. In private moments, he reflected on the sacrifices made, not just by soldiers and workers, but by people like Kale and even Sarah. Each had acted according to their beliefs, however flawed those beliefs might have been. As Earth began to recover from the Council's assault, Ryan addressed the public, acknowledging the pain and division, but emphasizing the importance of unity. "We are not defined by our mistakes," he said. "We are defined by how we rise above them. Together, we will build a future worth fighting for." The road ahead remained uncertain, but one thing was clear: the Sol Imperium would endure. Whatever threats loomed beyond the stars, humanity would face them head-on, with courage, resilience, and an unshakable determination to carve out its place among the cosmos. The Council wasn't done with Earth. After their failed assault, they regrouped and planned a final decisive strike to crush the Sol Imperium once and for all. This time, they brought everything they had: massive fleets, advanced weaponry, and overwhelming numbers. The attack came without warning, targeting not just Earth but its colonies and outposts across the galaxy. Humanity's survival hung by a thread. Ryan Carter stood in the command center aboard Hope's Dawn, his face pale but resolute. The screens around him showed grim images of destruction: burning ships, crumbling colonies, and desperate battles raging in deep space. Earth itself was under siege again, its skies filled with enemy vessels. The Council's message was clear: they wanted total annihilation. But Ryan refused to give up. "We fought too hard to lose now," he said, his voice steady despite the chaos. "If this is our final stand, we'll make it count." Captain Lucas Gray led the defense in orbit, commanding a battered but determined fleet. Every ship was scared from previous battles, every pilot exhausted from months of conflict. Yet none of them faltered. They knew what was at stake. Using guerrilla tactics and quick maneuvers, Lucas guided his forces to strike at the Council's weak points. Sarah Bennett's faster-than-light engines gave them an edge, allowing them to dart between enemies and avoid being surrounded. Still, the odds were overwhelming. On Earth's surface, cities prepared for the worst. Civilians took refuge in underground bunkers while soldiers manned defensive positions. President Laura Hayes addressed the nation one last time, her voice filled with both sorrow and defiance. "This may be our darkest hour, but it will also be our finest. We will not surrender. We will fight for our home, for our families, and for the future we've built together." Amidst the chaos, Cal's sacrifice proved invaluable. His disabling of the Council's flagship during the first attack had weakened their command structure, leaving them slower to adapt. Now, Ryan used that weakness to his advantage. He ordered daring raids on key Council supply lines, cutting off reinforcements and forcing their fleet to spread thin. It was a risky strategy, but it bought Earth precious time. As the battle raged, Ryan realized something crucial. The Council's leaders were aboard their central command ship, a massive vessel called the Dominion Asterisk. If they could destroy it, they might break the Council's morale and end the war. But reaching the Dominion Asterisk would require a suicide mission, a small team willing to fly directly into the heart of the enemy fleet. Lucas volunteered immediately, along with a handful of pilots who knew the risks but chose to fight anyway. Among them was Emily Dawson, who had returned to active duty after recovering from injuries sustained in earlier battles. Together, they formed a strike force, arming their ships with experimental weapons designed by Sarah before her arrest. As they launched toward the Dominion Asterisk, Ryan watched them go, his chest tight with emotion. "Bring them down," he whispered. The strike force fought valiantly, weaving through enemy fire and closing in on the Dominion Asterisk. Explosions lit up the void as they unleashed their payload, targeting the ship's core systems. One by one, the pilots fell, their ships destroyed in blinding flashes of light. But Emily made it through, firing the final shot that tore through the Dominion Asterisk's hull. The explosion was catastrophic, sending shockwaves through the Council fleet and causing widespread panic. With their command ship gone, the Council forces began to retreat. Earth's defenders cheered, their voices hoarse from exhaustion and relief. The battle was over, and humanity had won, but the cost was devastating. Countless lives had been lost, and entire colonies lay in ruins. As Ryan looked out at the wreckage, he felt a mix of pride and grief. Humanity had proven its strength, but the scars of war would linger for generations. Back on Earth, people gathered in silence, lighting candles for those who had fallen. The galaxy now knew that Earth was no longer a minor player. It was a power to be reckoned with. But as Ryan stared at the stars, he wondered what kind of peace they had truly won. The road ahead would be long, but for now, humanity had secured its place among the stars. In the aftermath of the final battle, Earth stood battered but unbroken. The Council's retreat marked a turning point, not just for humanity, but for the entire galaxy. The Sol Imperium had proven itself a force to be reckoned with, earning both fear and reluctant respect from its enemies. Yet, the cost of victory weighed heavily on everyone. Cities lay in ruins, colonies were devastated, and millions mourned loved ones lost in the fight. Despite the pain, there was also hope, a fragile but undeniable belief that humanity could rebuild and move forward. Ryan Carter stepped down as leader shortly after the war ended. He had poured every ounce of his energy into guiding Earth through its darkest hours, but now he felt it was time for fresh voices to take charge. "I'm not the future," he told President Laura Hayes during their final meeting. "The next generation will decide what kind of empire we become." His decision sparked mixed reactions. Some praised him for stepping aside, while others begged him to stay. But Ryan knew he had done his part. Humanity needed new visionaries to carry the torch. The Council reluctantly acknowledged Earth's independence, though tensions remained high. A fragile truce was established, with neither side willing to risk another war. For the first time, Earth sat at the negotiating table as an equal, not as a supplicant. Diplomats worked tirelessly to establish trade agreements and alliances with smaller species who had long suffered under the Council's rule. These oppressed civilizations saw the Sol Imperium as a symbol of resistance and hope. Slowly but surely, Earth began forging a network of partnerships, creating a counterbalance to the Council's dominance. Under the guidance of a new generation of leaders, the Sol Imperium flourished. Colonies rebuilt themselves stronger than before, using lessons learned from the war to create self-sufficient societies. Advances in technology continued, driven by scientists like Sarah Bennett, whose contributions, despite her betrayal, had been instrumental in humanity's survival. Though she remained imprisoned, her work lived on, inspiring others to push boundaries and explore new possibilities. Jack Monroe, once a nervous diplomat standing before the Council, became an ambassador for the Sol Imperium. He traveled across the galaxy, speaking to alien species about peace, cooperation, and mutual growth. His words carried weight because they came from experience. Earth wasn't perfect, but it was learning. And that made all the difference. Emily Dawson returned to civilian life, finding solace in teaching young pilots the skills she had honed in combat. Her students idolized her, seeing her as a hero who had helped save humanity. She often reminded them, "Courage isn't about being fearless. It's about doing what's right even when you're scared." As years passed, the scars of war began to heal. Memorials were built to honor those who had fallen, their names etched into stone beneath the stars. Earth's flag, the golden sun surrounded by orbiting planets, flew proudly on newly established outposts and embassies. The galaxy slowly changed, shaped by Earth's defiance and determination. One evening, Jack stood on a balcony overlooking a bustling spaceport. Ships launched into the sky, carrying diplomats, traders, and explorers to distant worlds. Behind him, Emily joined him quietly, holding 2 cups of coffee. They sipped in silence, watching the stars twinkle above. "Do you think we'll ever see true peace?" Emily asked softly. Jack smiled faintly. "Maybe not in our lifetime, but we've given the next generation a chance to try. That's enough for me." Together, they gazed at the endless expanse of space, knowing that humanity's journey was far from over. Whatever challenges lay ahead, Earth would face them head-on, with courage, resilience, and an unshakable belief in its place among the stars.